All right, you guys, we are going to dive right into the 5 financial pillars when starting a business. And so, what I'm going to cover are things that the guests on the show have shared, experiences myself and people in my network that talk about when it comes to the foundational success, the financial success of your business, what comes to mind. And this question was prompted through an email that I sent out to my list, my tribe, my subscribers, and the fear of the financial well-being of your business and to make that transition is always top of mind. Of course, it should be. It's how the business operates and succeeds. So really want to call attention to distractions and having undivided attention because we aren't here for super long. And so I promise to make this simple, less is more, impactful, quick hit so that you can get exactly what you need from this webinar. A little bit about me. I started She Did It Her Way as a podcast in 2015. In 2017, we had our first Her Way, She Did It Her Way Summit. We had our second annual one this past April. And now we are launching Her Way Society, all to help women like you who are in corporate America launch a business and grow it while you're working full time so that you can ultimately make the transition and become your own boss. I started at Target in 2010 and went and worked at Wells Fargo at 2011 and made the official leap myself in 2012. Now, let's dive into the webinar. Number one is your mindset. This is 100%. This is very key. This is why it is number one, because your mindset dictates the outcome and the experience that you have as a business owner, especially when it comes to the money mindset piece of it. A lot of entrepreneurs that I've talked to, and if you ask them, mindset is so much of entrepreneurship and making sure that you are in the correct and healthy headspace, which is why beginning stages of building your business, it's so, so important to have a community that can support you and that can help you along, especially if you're experiencing imposter syndrome or you're experiencing doubt, all of that good stuff. So we're going to dive right in. The first thing to note is that your thoughts are things. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, author of Think and Grow Rich, had, and if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it, but it is that your thoughts are things and you can literally create anything that you want. And especially as a business owner, it's different than when you're working a W-2 job that you have and get paid on this consistent basis, whether that is biweekly or every month. And knowing that your thoughts are things, because ultimately whatever you think creates an emotion inside of you that produces a reaction that gives you a result. So if you're thinking, I'm unworthy, what if I'm not cut out for this? What if I become what if I come off too pushy when I'm trying to market to my people? Who am I to get the chance to leave my job? What will others think about me? All of these thoughts then create a negative emotion, an emotion of what I call doubt in ourselves that create this action. And sometimes it's actually inaction. It creates a paralyzation that produces a result. So for example, a quick example is someone who wants to go and apply for this job, reads the job description, realizes that he or she is only 50% qualified and may think that, okay, darn, because I'm not qualified enough, I don't feel enough. I feel unworthy. I don't feel as if I deserve this job. So then they're not going to apply. And the result is that they don't get the job. So really using this methodology to become aware of your thoughts that you have and which ones are creating doubt, which ones are serving you, which ones are not serving you. A really big piece of scarcity versus abundant mindset as well. So scarcity may come off feeling that there's just not enough for everyone, or playing small, playing the victim, saying, well, why me? Why does this always happen to me? This isn't fair. Those are victim mentality thoughts. There's also fear of missing out. So we say yes to things that don't necessarily serve us, but we have this fear that we're missing out on something and that there's not going to be another opportunity that comes by. Now, this also translating into money blocks, which there's been a couple of guests on the podcast episode, such as Molly Sapp, and then we've had Jen Sincero, who is the author of You Are a Badass and You Are a Badass at Making Money. Her books are amazing. She's like a New York Times bestseller. And so if you haven't tuned into that podcast, highly, highly recommend going back and listening to. So money blocks. And the reason why these are important to come through is because, like I said, you as a business owner are you like being an entrepreneur, you get super personal and more self-aware about your actions, your thoughts, and your environment and everything that you've known to be true. And in order to continue going to the next level, it is going to require you to come face to face with things that maybe aren't necessarily the most comfortable things. And that comes from sometimes it's concrete things, and other times, a lot of times, it's your mindset. And one of those is like the money block. So, what might they sound like? These are just a couple. These came from richbitch.com, but they are definitely ones that I can personally relate to, and people on the podcast have shared and they can relate to. So, one of them you might be thinking that I'm just not meant to be rich. And this is something that, again, it's the not enoughness and the scarcity of just declaring and creating a story of, well, I'm just not meant to be rich. So it's more of an excuse as to why you don't consider yourself rich. Making money has to be hard. This is something that is I had experience, especially growing up in a blue collar family. And my dad would always be like, money doesn't grow on trees. I love my dad, by the way. He's amazing and he's a really hard worker. But at the same time, like he would work 8 hours a day, working the night shift, making an hourly rate that it just pained me to see this man work so hard for this amount of money that I was like, there's got to be something different. And so making money has to be hard. Again, and I'm going to talk about the words that we use, but having that subconscious belief that that is the way that things are. It's obscene to make heaps of money when other people don't have enough. This is also scarcity mindset, saying that there is only a finite amount of money, when in reality, you can create whatever it is that you want. And so when you have abundance mindset, you attract abundance. I just want to help people. I don't care about money. This is something that as women is something that it's like some of us struggle with a guilt complex or shame complex of like making money, because as women, we shouldn't care about that. We should care about the people. And if we care about money and making money, then that makes us rigid and maybe a bitch, whatever that might be. But recognizing that and saying, this is also the statement, I just want to help people, I don't care about money, is a trade-off. It's saying that, oh, well, if I help people, then I can't make money. And if I care about money, then I can't help people, which is not the case at all, because energy and money is energy, and it is about exchanging energy and equal energy back and forth to create even more abundance. You might also find, not saying you do, but rich people are greedy and selfish. And this could stem from the fact that maybe growing up, the only type of rich people we saw were actually greedy and selfish. But debunking that belief and finding people that we know to be true that are rich and are not greedy and selfish. A thought of people will stop loving me if I have too much money. This is something that people deal with, where if they make more than their parents, they think their parents are going to stop loving them. Even Jen Sincero shared this in her podcast, where she had a fear that her dad would stop loving her, or she would lose her dad's love if she made more than him, because he liked to provide for her. So if she no longer needed him to provide, she came to the conclusion that then her dad would feel like not needed. And so that subconscious story lived in her subconsciousness, that then stopped her from going to the next level until she had that conversation with her dad. And then it's more important to be happy than rich. Again, this is a trade-off. So you're saying that in order to be happy, you can't be rich, or in order to be rich, you can't be happy. So really becoming aware of these thoughts. Again, don't worry. We all have them. It's important to acknowledge them so we can work through them. First place to start is identifying, where do they come from? They come from, one, the words that we use, people that we hang out with, family members, family experiences growing up, even in our workplace. Really take inventory of the words that people in your circle use. Are people talking about how they can't afford things, or how that's too expensive, or, oh, I'm not like that, or I just think if people spend a lot of money on this, like that's just dumb. Like what is the dialogue that people are using that you surround yourself with? Because your words are so powerful. When you put that word out into the universe and the intention, like you are setting that into motion, and it becomes a fulfilling prophecy. So not just with money, but everything, and how you talk about your business and the story of your life. Like, words are everything. So just become aware and conscious of them. And so, ways to remove money blocks if you found yourself saying, "Oh my gosh, I think that. Yes, I do. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's uncomfortable. I thought that as well." Is one, you can journal. Journaling is so therapeutic. If you don't have a practice for journaling, just start super simple. Journal once a week, then go to 2 days a week, then go to 3 days a week. And some of the journaling prompts you can use, you can ask yourself, what is a benefit of me holding on to this thought? And that is especially if you find yourself in the, well, this always happens to me, why me? Or if you feel sorry for yourself, like what is the benefit of you holding on to that self-sabotaging thought or that victim mentality? Because really it's not getting you anywhere. So you answer the question, you say it's not beneficial, and then it opens up another opportunity for you to journal more about that and that experience. Write down how you feel about money, the relationship with money. What do you think about it? What are things that your parents or friends said to you growing up? How did your family feel about money? A lot of the stuff and the beliefs that we have is rooted from when we were younger and how we feel. I could go into days about when I look at my parents, one was a saver, one was a spender. And I saw how the mentality of how they felt about money then translated to me and how I needed to uncover that as well for myself in order to make the next level and move up or yeah, uncover that block. Also another learn your trigger points. If you see someone walking down the street and let's say they have a really nice luxury bag or they're driving a really nice car, like what is your immediate reaction to that experience? And write that down and figure out okay, why am I feeling this way? What is causing me to feel this way? And because journaling, like I said, is so therapeutic. Number 2 is tapping. This is a ancient Chinese method that it is when I say unconventional, it's unconventional because I don't think a lot of people know about it and it seems like a woo-woo practice, but I will tell you based on previous experience with it, it works. So go to YouTube and find a tapping method. It's you basically take your fingers and you have tapping points on your face and on your body that are supposed to release certain subconscious experiences so you can start shifting things. And it's amazing what comes out. Sometimes when I first started doing it, I would do it for 10 minutes and I'm like, why am I doing this tapping? Nothing's happening. Then I would challenge myself to do it again the next day and I would do it for 20 minutes and tears would just start coming. So it's really incredible what you uncover. I learned this from the Molly Sapp Money Mindset Bootcamp. Like I said, she was on the podcast. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I highly recommend it. The second piece, moving past the mindset piece and being in the right headspace, the second piece is making sure that you are pricing your service and products for profits. If you haven't picked up Mike Michalowicz's profit method, pick that up, read it. It is amazing. But let's take, for example, how do you price for profits? First, you have to take inventory on your operating expenses. So the cost to run your business, that might be software, marketing, subscriptions, any sort of education for you, training, certification. You also need to account for taxes, putting a certain percentage of every dollar away that you make. You also need to account for owner's pay, payroll, and then also building profits into your business. I left profits out just for this time being, just to take it a really basic, clear cut, straightforward. My business, I bank with US Bank and I have accounts for operating expenses, taxes, owner's pay, and payroll and profit as well. So every dollar that comes into my business, I know exactly the percentage that goes into operating, to taxes, to owner pay, and payroll and profit. And so that is all, you learn all of that in the Profit First method. So for example, let's say you're a makeup artist for weddings and you charge $75 per bridesmaid and it takes you an hour per bridesmaid. You ultimately want to charge more than the $75, but oftentimes you end up charging less than the $75 because you just want the business, which again is scarcity mindset. And in the beginning, when you start, you will probably take projects that are either pro bono for free because you want to get the experience. You might charge less because again, you're getting experience. But as you start to move and become a seasoned business owner, then you may find that you need to increase your prices because of your value and the time and everything, which we're going to walk through here in a minute. Okay, so then you feel bad for charging the full amount because they may not even see, your clients may not be able to afford your services. So here's what you do. You take the $75 and you take a step back and you say, okay, well, how much time did I spend traveling? Because that is your time. How much maybe you spent in parking, your gas, your taxi, the actual product you use while doing makeup, and the time that you spent per person, which is that 1 hour. So when you look at the full picture versus saying, okay, well, I made $75 an hour, really you didn't make that because you have to account for all the expenses and the time invested, because it's not $75 per hour. You have to include the time that you're traveling, the time that it took you to exchange information with this bride, everything. So you take 25% of the $75 off the top, that's $18.75. Your operating expenses, let's just say between $10 to $15. And if you do decide to pay someone to do services, you then pay them $40 per person. Okay. Now, if at this point the owners pay, if you actually pay someone to do the service and you account for all the operating expenses, taxes, you only earn $6 per service. If you do it, then you earn $46. And that's assuming you're not even counting for profit. So you can back this in to say, okay, well, if I'm actually only earning $46 per service, then really realistically, how many people, how many bridal parties do I need to book in order to earn personally the amount of revenue that I want per month and that I need in order to survive and thrive? Again, profit first method. Mike Mikhalowicz walks through this. Another example is when I started out as an independent contractor, I would get paid on a billable day. And that billable day rate, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much money. This is amazing. This is great. Really, though, I wasn't accounting for taxes. I wasn't accounting for operating expenses. And even as I continued to be on the road, my time became more valuable. And I started realizing, like, oh my gosh, I'm actually spending a day in the airport, a day of travel, not including client, and I'm not getting paid for the day of travel. So that is me giving up my time. And I need to factor that into the billable day rate that I am getting paid. And also, like, I'm not at home. So really, if you break it down, this is not like, then I'm like, this isn't enough. This doesn't justify. So really understanding where the money and making sure that you're pricing your products and service correctly. Number 3 is action over procrastination. So the question is why do we procrastinate? And it might be because we're pole vaulting over mouse turds, which I love this, because we build things up in our mind to be this massive thing when it really doesn't need to be that large. And then it paralyzes us from taking action. So thinking about like the pain of not doing something, like starting a business, going after our dreams, this might also be why we procrastinate, is because the pain of not doing it isn't greater than the pleasure we receive and achieve by taking action. So we have to figure out, like, how can I get excited and how can the pleasure of taking the action be greater than the pain of not doing it? It's that whole thing when Tony Robbins talks about people get sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's because the pain is, it's becomes so painful that you can't even take it, that you need to find that pleasure and achievement. So 1, break down your goals and tasks that you need to do into smaller and smaller steps so that they are micro steps and you can take action on them. And number 2 is timestamp how long it will actually take you to complete said task. I know in the past, I would think that doing taxes would be this like exorbitant thing. And I'm like, it takes me 4 hours. And if I don't have a 4-hour time block, I can't do it. And it would be 10 a.m. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do it today because I didn't start it. And then I just go down this rabbit hole, when in reality, to collect all the documents, to run the reports and send to the accountant takes like 45 minutes. So that's another example of pole vaulting over mouse turds. So time stamping it really helps that. Also, in the beginning of building a business, speed is everything, because if we go slow enough, we might talk ourselves out of doing something and not take action. And done is better than perfect. You can always go back and iterate it once you have the initial thing out, the minimum viable product. But if you don't have that, you can't iterate it. And I mean, business owners iterate all the time. We create, we go back, we make it better. We create, we go back, make it better. And in the beginning, done is better than perfect. So you can get it out there and create that forward momentum and feel accomplished and continue creating. Number 4 is create scalable systems. So whether you have a side hustle right now or no business at all yet, it's important for you to have awareness and intention to create systems in your business. Systems will help you scale, they will help you automate, and they will help you outsource. So if you have a client experience process, if you are in a heavy production process, it might be podcasting, it might be blogging, how can you create templates that you can then automate, create checklists, and then you can outsource and scale? So I did that with podcasting. I'll show you in just a minute. You want to create a consistent workflow in your business, and you can use software tools to help you do that. Asana is a great tool that we use that helps create templates for podcasting that you can see on the right-hand side. You can assign to different people, and then you can also create different tasks. So Kim on my team team goes in, uses a template, creates a new podcast episode, and then assigns the tasks and the due dates to the appropriate people, which is either myself or her, to complete the work. So you can do this. It's great. Other people might use Trello. It's very dependent upon what you like to use. But think about how you can start to create systems and then processes in your business, because that's going to help you scale and be able to be empowered to outsource. Number 5 is implement a follow-up system in regards to email. So regardless of the type of business you have, you want to have some sort of email follow-up system. And you do this by creating a lead gen, which is the process of attracting someone to your website. Typically, they give you their email in exchange for some sort of value, which is a content creation. There are different types of lead gens. They can be downloadable guides, checklists, free online courses, a webinar, or email exchange, or a promo code. So we gave a 10% off promo code for last year. She did a Her Way Summit in exchange for people signing up to our email list. Other examples of lead gen, you have Bed Bath & Beyond. They're really great at the 20% off. You have an email challenge that Pat Flynn puts out, 0 to 100 email subscribers in 3 days. So once you subscribe, you get put into their email funnel. He did a challenge. Natalie Bacon, grab a freebie, because why not? Each of the freebies that you grab has a separate email funnel set up that you get put into in a nurturing sequence, which is a drip campaign that you can set up and automate it. Think of it as you building a relationship with someone you just met. This email drip, the nurturing system, might look like, let's say, a 4-email system. It might be 5. And you may continually add on it as you go. But for this purpose, and to keep it super simple, your first email is going to be that lead gen that you promise them when they subscribe, that freebie, whatever it is, whether it's a coupon or the challenge that you put them into. And then you might have a second email that nurtures them and shares your story about what you do, your brand, your business. Third email might be providing them guidance. So she did it her way. We provide guidance and we say, hey, if you haven't checked out these downloaded podcasts, do so. These are the most downloaded podcasts. And then 4 might be an engagement email. So you can ask them a question about their journey, get to know them. We do that with She Did It Her Way. When people respond, they come directly back to me. So I get to see everyone that responds to those emails. And then that way it also gives me information about what people are looking for or problems and pain points that they are currently struggling with. So before we recap, the email drip, CRM-wise, MailChimp and ConvertKit are both really great ones starting out. I recently converted or transferred over to ConvertKit. I just like their UX design a lot better, but you can get there. They're relatively inexpensive and you can start pretty easy and it's easy to understand, but this can all be automated that you set up. So when someone subscribes to your email list, they get put in that nurture sequence. So to recap, 1, your mindset. 2, making sure you're pricing for profits in your services. 3, action over procrastination. 4, scalable systems. And 5, implementing a follow-up system via email. So this brings me to my next point. Her Way Society enrollment is currently open until July 3rd. There's success plan, there's monthly coaching guides, there's community, there's 2 monthly calls, one's an expert training, and then the other one's rapid fire coaching, all done Zoom. And then my favorite is the 18th month lead up checklist. So this is month by month, step by step, what you need to do in order to prepare yourself and launch your business while working full time so that you can get to a place where you can make the ultimate leap. And I walk you through everything. And so I'm so excited for this. Like I said, enrollment is open now until July 3rd. It's $27 a month. You get immediate access to all these tools. And you can learn more by heading to shedidherwaypodcast.com/Her Way Society to learn more. Monday, the next webinar is the 5 time management practices that help you cut through the noise and stay focused. That's Monday, July 2nd, 7 p.m. Central. This one is amazing. Well, every one of these I was really excited to put together, but this one, I love productivity and how can we cut through the noise and stay focused and use time blocking, and especially becoming a new entrepreneur. You're going to have people that are going to want your time. They want to get coffee because it's so new to them and they want to learn more about what you're doing. So finding that balance of protecting your time and doing a positive, equal energy exchange as well. So thank you guys so much for watching the webinar, tuning in. I'm excited. I'm going to put the replay. So if you couldn't make it live, you will still be able to watch this as well. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday.